Hello, everyone. Welcome to the greatest show on earth, otherwise known as the Dr. Quack Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
And I'm Dick Clark, and welcome to Wrestlemania Bandstand.
Oh, yeah. We had such a great time here, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. We got two different bands playing a total of 5 different songs, all to put over WrestleMania 18 from Toronto, Canada.
Yes. There's a lot of theories on why that happened. One of them being because Vince McMahon had his own record label and he wanted to make sure he pushed out talent to be seen. That is one of the rumors there. I don't know. But let's get into this.
Before that, I do want to say something. When you look at, because we have reviewed WCW, we reviewed WWF, we reviewed AWA. WWF and WCW did a great job with putting songs to characters, because when you think about Stone Cold, what do you think about? That glass breaking and that heart. Dun, 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 dun. When you think about somebody from WCW, with the exception of Voodoo Child, what song do you think about that associates with him? So, fine. Vince McMahon at least had the right concept, because he did do a great job of making the music match with the person, and you remembered both.
Yes, he did. This took place on March 17, 2002 at the Toronto Sky Dome in Canada.
Yep, we got the King and JR. Luckily, this is the second WrestleMania after the buyout. The first one only happened like a few weeks after. So this one is a full year after. And we didn't have all the splits. We didn't have to hear Michael Cole and Taz. We didn't have to hear any of that garbage. We just got the King and JR, and thank God for that.
Yeah, and don't forget we had Carlos Cabrera and Hugo Sanovich.
Yep, and they both sound about the same, because for some reason they turned the microphones down on the King and JR. You could barely hear their commentary over the action that was going on. So it was basically like being there.
Yeah. On interviews, we had Jonathan Coachman, Michael Cole, and Lillian Garcia.
They didn't do great, but they didn't do horrible. They pushed the little segments along, so fine. Golf clap for them.
Yes, and this was before Lillian Garcia became a ring announcer, because who took care of that today?
The great Howard Finkel.
Yes.
And they even put over that at this time he had semi-retired, and he came back just to do WrestleMania, because he had done all 17 other WrestleManias prior.
Yeah, and the long list of referees: Mike Chioda, Jack Doan, Brian Hebner, Earl Hebner, Jacqueline, who was on the Dark Show, Jim Corderas, Teddy Long, Nick Patrick, Chad Patton, Charles Robinson, Mike Sparks, and Tim White.
And actually they got them all right. They were all on there, even though some of them appeared like in just the hardcore segments, which we'll get into those, but they were all on there.
Yeah. So moving along, we have the first match here. We have the
We actually didn't. We started out with Saliva.
Oh, yes, that's right. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point that out. We started out with Saliva singing a song.
We did. And he did good for that. I'll give it.
They did. It was supposed to actually put over, because they had a theme playing behind it, videos of the upcoming WrestleMania and putting over the heavyweight title match for the unified title. So at least they tried, but the song really didn't match what they were trying to say. It's just they were singing and there was videos playing behind them, so they said it was a compilation.
There you go. And we have our first match now.
Yes, we can go to the first match.
Thank you. Rob Van Dam and William Regal Intercontinental title.
Because you know I'm Dick Clark. I interrupt everything.
You sure do.
So this match was actually okay. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be. They really didn't have a lot of chemistry. It really was kind of off. I know Regal was far into his wrestling career. He was probably getting close to retiring or calling it a career, but this one didn't blend very well, but it was a decent match. Good opener. William Regal came in the IC title. Rob Van Dam left in 2.25-star affair.
See, I went a little higher. I went close to 3 stars. I actually enjoyed this match. I enjoyed the finish with it. You know, with Regal getting knocked out there and then RVD hitting that frog splash off the top. And I never understood, okay, RVD hits a frog splash and everybody else hits a frog splash, they land it. RVD's got to hit it, fly up in the air like a flopping lizard, land over on the side and go, oh, okay, now I can pin him.
Because he's trying to add the physics of he's hitting him so hard. I'm okay with that, because if somebody were to kick out, they can say, well, he wasn't able to get to him right away, which very few people ever did. But I like the little extra drama. It makes it mean something just a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Moving along here, we had DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, taking on Christian for the European title.
Yeah, the backstory on this one, Christian was constantly throwing fits. And this was not stalker DDP. This was Diamond Dallas Page smiling all the time, saying that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. And they were trying to work together, and Christian turned on DDP, which led to this match, the European champion, Diamond Dallas Page, taking on Christian. I loved this match. I really did. It was silly and corny, and it wasn't really the greatest action, but they alluded back to Diamond Dallas Page driving the 62 Cadillac at WrestleMania 6. They alluded to Christian was sitting in the crowd at WrestleMania 6. There was a lot of miscues in here, but it really was a good story of student versus teacher. I went 2 3/4.
Yeah, I can go with that. That's about where I'm at. I'm like 2.5, but I can go 2 3/4. I feel like this was a very good match. It was a good setting of the table and helped things move along here. And that's what a lot of these matches I felt did. They weren't A+ matches, but they weren't Fs.
Yep, and DDP, he won the match and then did the, you didn't once throw a fit. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, which caused Christian to throw a fit, which is why I gave it 2 3/4, because it continued the story and did it well.
And now I'm going to my quack attack. And you're looking at me like I'm half crazy because this match does get my quack attack. Maven taking on Goldust for the hardcore title. Now what happened here is great. And the quack attack goes to Spike Dudley because he was the smartest man in this match. Yes, he was not booked in this match. He brung his own referee when Goldust was out of the ring. Maven was knocked out, and he took a 3 count and said, "I'm now the new hardcore champion." Hadn't been done in a long time, and that was definitely great to see. I love that part for Spike Dudley going on, and we'll continue on with his saga of the championship belt.
The hardcore title had existed for several years. And they've done it several other times where somebody who wasn't booked comes in. Yes, it had been like 8 months since it happened.
It was a long time.
Come down. 8 months and a 5-year title. No, it's not really a long time.
But it's at a WrestleMania. When else did it happen at WrestleMania?
Fair. That was the first one to happen at a WrestleMania. So I'll give you that one. And Crash Holly chased off Spike Dudley at the end, with caused Maven to chase after him. So all in all, the Maven Goldust, I gave it 2 stars. It was not horrible. Yeah, it was very generic WWF hardcore, but it wasn't bad. And then Spike Dudley coming in, yeah, I did enjoy that, with Crash Holly following him off. And we'll get, as he said, we'll get more to that saga later because we got more WrestleMania Bandstand with Drowning Pool playing some music.
At least they had good music there. You know, I'm a big fan of Drowning Pool. I love that.
Yeah, you used Bodies as your entrance music. So
no, I never used Bodies.
I thought you did.
No.
You're down with the sickness.
There you go, Disturbed. It's okay. He's 10 years older than I am. But yes, we got that down there. And they did a good performance.
Yeah, it was decent. This was more of the WrestleMania back history stuff. It was okay. You can pick on me all you want. Just because I'm Dick Clark, that doesn't mean I listen to the music.
There you go. Moving along, we had Kurt Angle take it on Kane.
Well,
I enjoyed this.
Before that, we had part 2 of the saga.
Oh, yes, part 2. He's going to fill us in on these.
Yes, so we have Spike Dudley in the back. And he avoids Al Snow trying to run him over with a golf cart. He avoids Hardcore Holly and beats up Hardcore Holly. And then the Hurricane comes flying in on his rope, knocks over Spike Dudley, pins him, and flies off. I didn't bother to rate these. And then we got another one. It moved on down the road. So we'll get to some more here after the next match.
Yeah. Kurt Angle and Kane one-on-one. I really enjoyed the way these two worked. I've seen them a few times. I was watching 2002 recently, and just how they worked on Raw and how they worked on SmackDown. Kurt Angle was the first person to make Kane tap.
Yes. And I really enjoyed Kurt Angle's promo. Now, again, this took place in March of 2002. Prior to this point, the Olympics took place every 4 years on the leap year. Right before this, they had split to the Olympics. The summer was in one and the winter was another. So the winter took place just about a month prior to this, and there was a big controversy about the Canadian figure skaters winning gold because there was evidence that the Russian judges were partial to the Canadian figure skaters. And I loved how Kurt Angle rubbed it in their face by saying, I won my gold medals the real way. I didn't have to pay somebody to win my gold medals. And then it led to a great 3-star match between Kane and Kurt Angle. With Kurt Angle winning the match, it was a really solid match.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to see the chemistry they had. I'm going 3 stars on that as well. Now, this match here coming up.
Again, we're up to part 3 of the saga. I'm sorry.
All these interruptions.
We have Hurricane goes running into the Godfather's hose locker room and was hiding behind there, trying to hide because he's got the title. And the Godfather's hose were comparing breast size and taking their dresses off. Well, Hurricane found a broom, and of course, you know, the added view, it looked like he had a large erection going on, but it was him holding the broom to fight somebody off, and the girls see it, and they get mad, so the Godfather comes running in, and Hurricane takes off running down the way, and the Godfather's checking on his hose. Now let's move on.
Yeah, finally. This match here, The Undertaker taking on Ric Flair. There's a lot of history in this because Ric Flair was actually co-owner of the WWE at this point. He had to go to the board. The board decided that he could no longer be co-owner during this match. They could make a decision after the show. But he had to take on The Undertaker because The Undertaker wanted to kick his ass. So much history in this. Beating his son up, beating up on Arn Anderson, just everything leading up to Ric Flair going, yes, I got to fight for my life. I enjoyed this match. I really did. Undertaker, of course, won because the streak continued for many, 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 many years. I gave this match 3.5 stars. I loved it.
Yes, and we also, prior to this, there was a build-up. Ric Flair had accidentally punched a fan.
Yes.
And they showed that. That was Paul London, somebody that we're very familiar with and I helped train with. And I think you worked him in a battle royal.
Yes.
So we have done some things with Paul London. It was great to see that story again with Paul London. And yes, Ric Flair not wanting to do it. He was trying to be the 50% owner. And Undertaker beating up David Flair, which is always a good thing. As Diamond Dallas Page says, that's a good thing. And I enjoyed this match as well. Of course, Flair bled. Taker bled. This match was solid storytelling from beginning to end. 2 veterans, 2 locker room leaders, respected by all. I went 3 3/4. This match was great.
Yeah, it was definitely great to see 2 legends fighting each other at WrestleMania, and they lived up to their hype. But yeah, moving along here, we had Edge taking on Booker T.
This one, there's a little bit of backstory you may not remember because they kind of alluded to it a little bit. This is actually real. So we're shooting from the hips here. Japan had a new shampoo company that they wanted to market with wrestlers, and they wanted wrestlers from all over the world. So they actually interviewed like 25 people from the United States, and the person that ultimately won it wasn't from the United States, it was from Canada. That's Edge. Booker T was close. He was the runner-up, and that's what led to this match of Booker T was supposed to get the hair deal, but Edge beat him because they wanted somebody from the United States. So that was the backstory. And then they were making fun of Booker T because just a few months prior to this, WWF appeared on Family Feud, and Booker T made himself look a fool. And then a couple of months after this, he was on the show with, I can't even remember the name of it, but the lady says, weakest link. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. And Booker T lost because he thought Thanksgiving was in October. I wish I was kidding, folks.
No. And to me, this match just didn't have the chemistry.
It was okay. It really was.
It was Booker T young in the F, so an E rather.
Yeah. My notes say Booker T looked like he had some jitters. This is his first WrestleMania. He had some jitters. And it was obvious because he missed some spots. There was a couple of reversals where their hands just came apart. So there was a lot of jitters here, but they worked through it. I gave them 2 3/4. The match really wasn't that good, but Booker T covered it. Edge, the consummate professional, as well worked with him to make this match better. So I gave them more credit than the match really was by going 2 3/4.
Yeah, and as you'll see in our later Dr. Quack podcast episodes, you'll see when we're talking about WrestleMania and Booker T. It didn't get better for a little while.
No, it didn't.
Moving on
to one more part here. We have our third title change here. Hurricane is back in the back trying to hide, and Molly Holly, who was his partner as Mighty Molly, she was trying to convince him to go get in his car to get out of here, and then hit him from behind with a rubber frying pan. I wish I was kidding. No. It was a rubber frying pan. It was supposed to look like cast iron. And then she pins him to be the third different hardcore champion during this show. And then she took off, and that was the last we saw of Hurricane for a while.
Yes. Moving along here to my 2-finger salute. Because this matchup here, I did not like, and there was many reasons. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Scott Hall. And this doesn't really go towards Stone Cold too much. This goes more towards Scott Hall. Because this was the latter end of his career, and you could tell just how alcohol affected he was in this match. It didn't go over well. There was a lot of miscues, very sloppy. I did not like the way this match came out. I gave this match 2 stars just because, I mean, the legends of it, but honestly, this match did not go over very well. I'm giving it a 2-finger salute.
And that's very fair. When we did our Mayhem 99 review, when we talked about Randy Savage taking on Bret Hart, and that match just stunk. This was another one of those, if it would have been a few years prior, this could have been a great match. I don't think Stone Cold and Scott Hall ever worked prior to before Razor left. I don't think they ever worked. Not that I can remember.
At least not on television.
So this was theirs. And this one really had a lot of other stuff going on as well. A lot of Kevin Nash interference to help cover the fact that Scott Hall really couldn't perform. I liked the story, and I agree with you, I didn't like the match.
Yeah, the match just wasn't that great.
I went 2 1/4, but basically for the same reason. I can round down with you on this one. Your rant is correct. 2 stars. There was a lot of stuff going on in this match. This match should have been so much better. 2 Hall of Famers. This should have been so much better, and it wasn't.
Yeah. And moving along here, we always got to have one of these at WrestleMania. Yes. Fatal 4-way for the tag team titles. Chuck and Billy, the APA, the Dudley Boys with Stacy Keibler, and the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, Chuck and Billy come in this thing, the tag team champions. And I wanted to like this. But this is something the WWF has really done. It's the whole proving they still have a tag team division, so they give a bunch of guys a payday, but they really don't care about the match. That was on full display today. Exactly. Let's just give it up. Reasons. Paydays. That's why. So I actually kept track of how they went out. The APA were the first team eliminated. They were getting ready to split them up. I think 03 was when they split them up in the draft.
Roughly, yeah.
So they were getting ready to kind of break them apart. They didn't really have anything else to do with them. Then the Dudleys went out second. And then the Hardys went out third, leaving Chuck and Billy retaining their tag team titles. This match was a disjointed mess. It was 4 stories going on at the same time, and none of them had enough time to go. The whole match was only like 8 minutes long. You cannot tell 4 stories in 8 minutes. I went 2 1/4 stars, at least the action. There was nothing technically wrong with the action. These guys didn't have enough time, and no one cared.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I went 2 stars flat on this. It was just your typical fatal 4-way with a tag team match. It's what they did.
Yep, and then at least we had another one. This was actually a nicer one. We have another hardcore title change. Molly Holly is hiding out backstage, and Christian comes up to go congratulate her, and then rolls her up and pins her and takes off running. Now, I like where this led to, that he tried to get into a taxi later on, so this one was nice. It was nice to see Christian. He did the whole, I did it, it's me! He kissed the title, then realized he was kissing tape, so that was funny. That's why it was one of the better ones.
Yeah, word of the day, here you go. It's called filler. because this is what you have between matches. You have little filler segments. Some are good, some are bad, and this is what covers up when you have shorter matches that are 8 minutes for a fatal 4-way.
Yeah, I mean, yes, this was story-driven as well, but what this does is sometimes you don't see it if you're watching television, but when you're in the ring or when you watch it live, sometimes they go short on purpose. Like usually the WWF, what they'll do is about every second or third match, they'll throw to a backstage segment. If you've always wondered why, they send the ring crew down there to double check to make sure the ring hasn't come apart, the boards are in place. If any boards break, they tell them to stall and they change a board out, or they move the canvas to put up something else, like for the MVP segment or set up the ring for Miz TV. So these are done on purpose, and WWF was really learning this skill at this point because they had a lot of problem with it during the Attitude Era. They were starting to get a lot better with it. So that's why those things exist. So you're right. Filler is a good, important word. It's actually done for a reason, and one of them is safety. But some of them are not good, and some of them are good. So you get what you get, folks.
Yes, you do. And moving along, we had the big match up here. The Rock taking on Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with Hollywood Hogan, Hulk Hogan, and Toronto, but when he crosses the border into Canada, he becomes a wrestler. And a really good one. This one, Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, The Rock, Scott Hall, and Bruce Pritchard have all said at length the plan was to make Hollywood Hogan the heel. They did everything they could. And of course, this is Bizarro World. Canada went, nope. Hollywood Hogan said after this match, he had to fly from Canada back to Tampa to get his Hulk Hogan red and yellow and fly back up to Canada the next day to appear in the red and yellow. This match was incredible. This match was storytelling from start to finish. You could tell they changed the direction on it. Because actually, the NWO was not supposed to end at this show.
No.
Hollywood Hogan was supposed to go over. He changed his mind mid-match and put The Rock over because it made sense, and then directed to have the NWO come out and attack him because they still had plans for the NWO. 4.5-star match ended the NWO, and I'm not sad about that.
Yeah. It did. It started the end. I went 4.5. Yeah, I'm very happy with this match. The build up, the hype, the fans were into this. Side note here, though, the NWO ended because of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon just 1 week on Raw said, because he's in charge, he came full in charge. The NWO is no more.
And it was because of this match, because everybody wanted to see Hulk Hogan a babyface again.
Yeah, it was a big thing. Yeah, big match here, definitely. 4.5 stars. You definitely learned a lot of psychology, how to work slow and still entertain.
Which something Hogan has not been known for, and actually The Rock has not always been known for, the slow build match. And he did a great job with that. Both of them did an excellent job. WrestleMania 6, we gave Hogan a Warrior 4.5 stars. We give Hogan another 4.5 stars here in Toronto. This must be his home away from home.
Could be. Moving along, we had a big triple threat match here. We had the Women's Championship. Jazz, Trish Stratus, and Lita.
I hate to call this a bathroom break match, but this really was a bathroom break match. They just followed Hollywood Hogan and The Rock. There was nothing you were going to do. The crowd was not going to care about this because they spent 18 minutes watching Hogan and The Rock and the fight afterwards. This match was a little sloppy. Jazz retained her title, which was good to see Jazz retain her title. But I didn't care about this match. I feel kind of like the crowd did that, okay, we saw Hogan, we saw The Rock, let's go to the bathroom, let's go get a concession stand because we still got the main event coming up. So I went 2.25.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I went 2.5. I enjoyed what Jazz was doing in this match. It really proved her dominance, taking on two great females, talking about Trish Stratus and Lita.
Yeah, but you could say there was a definite difference between the Jazz's train with the men style and work like the men versus Lita and Trish Stratus as we're women first, wrestlers second. You can tell that difference. I think that led a little bit to the sloppiness.
Yeah.
But it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, there's a petition out to have Jazz actually in the WWE Hall of Fame. I actually signed that. I believe that she deserves it.
Yep. And we got to move on to our last hardcore title match.
Oh, God, that was a good stretch.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you can go on to the end of the hardcore matches. For
Yay!
So Christian is trying to get into the taxi, and they're throwing his bags in. He's got the taxi cab guy throwing the bags into the back, and all of a sudden Maven slams him into the taxi, pins him, grabs the belt, and drives off in his taxi. And I was okay with that. It was a nice end to what was the milieu for the 24/7 title of you drive away to defend it another day. So I was okay with it. All in all, the entire hardcore segments, I went 2 1/4.
There you go. He feels good about talking about that. I'm just going to leave it where it's at because I want to move on to the main event.
The real main event.
Thank God. Yes, we are on there. Triple H taking on Chris Jericho with Stephanie McMahon. Yes, you heard me right. Because at this point, they were going through a divorce. Divorce.
Yeah, the storyline divorce. For those of you that don't remember this, Triple H had drugged her and kidnapped her and drove to Vegas and went to a drive-through wedding chapel and then played marionette by pulling her jaw down saying, "Yes, I'm marrying Triple H." So that they weren't dating yet in real life. Triple H was still dating Chyna at the time they started the marriage thing. Now Chyna and Triple H have broken up. He's not dating Stephanie McMahon, and they're going through their storyline divorce. And she has now joined the person that used to call her a brutal trash bag hoe, Chris Jericho. And this match was a blow-off match, but it really was too long. The story was not as entertaining as it could have been. There was nothing wrong with it. I went 3 1/4, but it really was underwhelming for as hard of an effort as they put into building this story up as Chris Jericho, the undisputed champion. It really was kind of Triple H's win really felt underwhelming.
And it's sad because as much as we love to say, yes, the championship should always be in the main event, Rock and Hogan probably could have switched this, and I think that would have made it okay.
Yeah, this is one of those few times that would have been okay and would have been acceptable. This one was just so underwhelming. I mean, yes, like I said, I went 3 1/4, but Triple H's win really felt, okay, we're done. Thank God that's over.
Yeah, lackluster. It really did. Yeah, I went 3 1/2, went a little higher, but I think that's because of the star power into it, But that's the end of our show here.
Yes. So I want to thank you for joining WrestleMania Bandstand.
Yeah.
Don Pardo, what do we got coming up next?
Oh, really? You're really happy for this one. Look, we're going a year later. WrestleMania 19. With the world's longest runway.
No, because we saw it at WrestleMania 8. The runway was so long, Papa Shango couldn't even get down there in time.
Well, this was definitely among it. You tell us when you see it. But that's what we got coming up here. We're continuing our WrestleMania Fest, WrestleMania 19. I'm Dr. Quack.
And I'm Dick Clark, and we'll see you next time on WrestleMania Bandstand.
And thank God I'm out.